If you grew up reading in textbooks that Christopher Columbus discovered America, then today's video is going to completely change that idea. Columbus never actually realized he had reached a new continent, and people had been living there for thousands of years before he arrived. Today, we will uncover the real truth behind the mysterious voyage of 1492 and learn why Columbus, while searching for India, accidentally ended up on the other side of the world. Why India or Asia? It was the late 1400s. In Europe, spices were more valuable than gold. Black pepper, cloves, and cinnamon did not just enhance food, they symbolized wealth, power, and prestige. These precious spices came from the East, India, China, and Southeast Asia. But there was one major problem: land routes. The Ottoman Empire had taken control of the Silk Road, making travel to India extremely difficult for European traders. Those who managed to pass had to pay heavy taxes. At the same time, Portugal was searching for a sea route to India by sailing south along the African coast. But an Italian sailor named Christopher Columbus had a radical idea. He believed the Earth was round, so instead of sailing around Africa, why not cross the Atlantic Ocean and sail west directly to India and Japan? Columbus's mathematical mistake and the struggle for approval. Columbus was not a skilled mathematician. He made a massive error in calculating the size of the Earth. He believed the Earth was much smaller than it actually is, and that Asia extended far more eastward than it does. According to his calculations, Japan was only about 3,000 miles west of the Canary Islands. In reality, the distance was over 12,000 miles. Columbus first presented his plan to the King of Portugal. The royal council rejected him outright, saying, "Your calculations are wrong. You will die in the middle of the ocean." He then turned to Spain. At the time, Spain was engaged in war, so his proposal was initially dismissed. But in 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella finally agreed. According to legend, Queen Isabella even pledged her jewelry to support the expedition, believing that success would open the doors to immense wealth for Spain. Columbus's mathematical mistake and the struggle for approval. Columbus was not a skilled mathematician. He made a massive error in calculating the size of the Earth. He believed the Earth was much smaller than it actually is, and that Asia extended far more eastward than it does. According to his calculations, Japan was only about 3,000 miles west of the Canary Islands. In reality, the distance was over 12,000 miles. Columbus first presented his plan to the King of Portugal. The royal council rejected him outright, saying, "Your calculations are wrong. You will die in the middle of the ocean." He then turned to Spain. At the time, Spain was engaged in war, so his proposal was initially dismissed. But in 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella finally agreed. Land sighted: India or something else? On October 12, 1492, at around 2 a.m., a sailor aboard the Pinta, Rodrigo de Triana, shouted, "Tierra! Tierra! Land! Land!" The next morning, they landed on an island in what is now the Bahamas. Columbus planted the Spanish flag and named the island San Salvador. Here, one of history's greatest misunderstandings occurred. When Columbus saw the brown-skinned inhabitants, he was convinced he had reached the shores of India. He called the people Indians. This mistake is the reason Native Americans were later referred to as Red Indians. However, Columbus did not find spice gardens or great cities. Instead, he encountered peaceful people wearing small gold ornaments. Gold fascinated Columbus far more than spices. In his diary, he wrote, "These people are very gentle, and would make good servants. Was it really a discovery? So the question arises, did Columbus truly discover America? The answer is complicated. If discovery means finding a land no one knew about, then Columbus was not the first. The indigenous perspective. When Columbus arrived, millions of people were already living in the Americas. They had been there for nearly 15,000 years. For them, this was not a discovery, it was an invasion. The Viking arrival. Nearly 500 years before Columbus, Leif Erikson reached North America, specifically Newfoundland, and even established a settlement. However, this knowledge never spread widely across Europe. Other possibilities. Some historians believe Polynesian sailors, or even Chinese explorers, may have reached the American coastline before Columbus. So why is Columbus given so much importance? Because after his voyage, a permanent connection was established between Europe and the Americas, known as the Great Exchange. Horses, cattle, wheat, and sugar traveled from Europe to the Americas. In return, potatoes, tomatoes, corn, and tobacco reached Europe. But along with these exchanges came deadly diseases like smallpox, which wiped out nearly 90% of the indigenous population of the Americas. Columbus's final years and a tragic truth. Columbus traveled to the Americas 4 times. He visited present-day Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, and parts of South America. But in 1500, he was arrested and sent back to Spain in chains due to accusations of mismanagement and cruelty in the colonies. When Columbus died in 1506, he still believed he had reached Asia. He never realized that he had opened the door to 2 entirely new continents. A few years later, Italian explorer Amerigo Vespucci proved that this land was not Asia, but a new world, Mundus Novus. The continents were later named America in his honor. Conclusion: hero or villain? Today, Columbus's legacy remains deeply controversial. Some see him as a heroic explorer who helped shape the modern world. Others view him as an invader responsible for the deaths of millions of indigenous people. Even Columbus Day remains a topic of debate in America. But regardless of history's judgment, one truth cannot be denied. Without Columbus's stubborn determination, the world map we know today might look very different. His story reminds us that sometimes even a wrong path can lead to the greatest discoveries. What do you think? Should Columbus still be remembered as a hero, or was Leif Erikson the true discoverer of America? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more thrilling stories from history. See you in the next video. Thank you.